試され耐え続けるためにのみあるというのか。天の父よ、あなたの与える試練ではこの者の魂は救えぬ。
There are three characters in Vinland Saga that are often considered to be the best in the story, but in my personal opinion, I will take the most uncommon belief and say that I think Canute is the best character in Vinland Saga. I've made YouTube shorts on my favorite characters in Vinland Saga, and surprisingly I put Canute at number 1, and it's genuinely because I think he is the best character in the story. Not only is he my favorite, I actually think he's the best written of all the characters, and that's hard to say because Thorfinn and Askeladd are both phenomenal characters, and Thorfinn being the main character seems like he's really given more of the attention than a character like Canute, especially in the latter half of the story. It almost seems like Canute is non-existent, and that's kind of why I like the first half of the story a lot more than the second half of the story, because we don't get to see enough of this character. Past the 100 chapter mark, he's almost not even part of the story. However, even in the shadows, Canute is still doing his job. He's still leading an army, and he's still building a nation that can go against and rebel against his worst enemy, God. There's something special about Canute that has drawn me to him more so than Thorfinn or Askeladd, even though I do think that both of those characters are phenomenal and deserve second and third place respectively. However, I do also think that Canute is heavily overlooked, because when someone is asked who's the best character in Vinland Saga, they almost always jump to Thorfinn if they read the manga, and if not, Askeladd. But this video is of course my opinion and my reasoning as to why Canute is the greatest character in Vinland Saga. The initial introduction of Canute isn't one you'd expect from a king. He's docile, he's feminine, and he pretty much never really talks. He was raised by a farmer named Ragnar, and that's kind of the reason why he became the way he is. He didn't get to spend any time with his father, who was the king. He got to spend some time with his brother, but his brother was picked and prioritized over him because his father believed he would be the next king. It takes a while for Canute to leave his crib and break the ice in front of him that is blocking him from his true destiny of becoming the king and the emperor of rebellion. However, once he does leave this crib, he becomes the strongest man in the world and leads the greatest nation and the greatest army in the world. The spark of Canute's awakening wasn't just Ragnar's death. When you look at it superficially, you might think it's rushed, dramatic, and way too much at once, but it is the perfect way to develop a character like this, because he was on the cusp of making a huge change, and the death of Ragnar, alongside some other things I'm talking about in the video, pushed him to that next level. And then he slowly develops from there into a darker king. The essence of love, as explained by the priest when he's talking to Canute, is the equal treatment of everything in this world. It means not prioritizing something over another, and not discriminating against different things. He explains that the love a parent has for his or her children is not love, it is discrimination, because they prioritize them over everybody else in the world. Ragnar's love for Canute was not actually love, it was simply discrimination. He explains that true love is equal treatment of everything in the world, and that is why true love happens only in death, because in death, the men that have died provide everything that they have left over to the world. Their body is food for the other creatures on the earth, and they simply degrade away without any concern, any complaint, or any distaste for the situation they are in. And because of that reason, the essence of love in Vinland Saga is death. This is an exceptional callback to Christianity and how humans came to be this way because Adam chose to eat the forbidden fruit. Because of that one decision, the beauty and love in the world God created is completely vacant from the hearts of all the men out there fighting on the battlefield, and that is the sole reason why the world is in the situation it is in today. Because Canute understands that it is pretty much God's fault for this happening, he condemns him for taking the love out of the hearts of men and creating this hell on earth that is the Viking era. As a result of the knowledge gained by eating the fruit, humanity loses on something of equal importance, which is their love. And this is pretty much the reason Canute becomes the way he becomes in this very short span of chapters. Based on this realization, Canute is now given a purpose and a reason to go become king. Even though it's something that humans cannot achieve, God still forces them to seek love. The entire reason for their fighting is pretty much meaningless and is only happening because God stripped them from the love that they once possessed. This is primarily what fuels Canute's rebellion against God, which is the primary motivating factor for Canute's descent into darkness. With this in mind, Canute's mission now becomes to restore love in the hearts of men, the love that they once lost. Contrary to the Vikings that he commands, Canute is one who condemns God and does not respect him for the revolting situation he has left over on this earth. It is because of God that the situation is the way it is. He hates the idea of having been exiled from paradise because he pretty much did nothing wrong, and he seeks to build his own world that resembles that paradise that humans once lived in the kingdom of God. It's true that Canute commands the largest army in the Scandinavia, he has the strongest forces, and he has the most well-known name. But is he the most powerful in all the kingdoms? Yes, he is. All for one single essence that is stronger than he is, and that is God, who is his greatest enemy. Of course, God is a metaphorical representation in the story. I don't expect an old guy with a beard to just come down from the heavens at some point in Vinland Saga, but he is such an important aspect of Canute's character because now Canute can go against the idea of God and seek to build his own paradise on this earth using cruel methods, because again, this is the world that God created, so he has to use what he's been given to get the paradise that he once lost. He cannot go Thorfinn's route because he believes that he can take advantage of the hearts of these men that have lost all their love in order to regain that love at some point in the future. He condemns the Father in heaven for abandoning his people, and he seeks to save exactly these people who have been exiled. And this is why, as king, he does not leave the Vikings alone. He does not take Thorfinn's path of abstaining from any sort of violence. The Vikings are the sole representation of the love that God has taken from humans. He seeks to restore that love in humans through the Vikings primarily because, again, they are the best example of that. And this is something that Thorfinn does not understand, but Canute does understand. And this is why Canute, and this is kind of why, if you look at it from a broad perspective, Canute is showing more love to the people around him than Thorfinn is because he's treating everybody equally. Now again, this is based on the definition of love in Vinland Saga, not the definition of love that we know today, because Canute is kind of known for killing a lot of people as well. Canute's fight is not against only the English army or the Danish army, it is against a much larger enemy. It is against an ethos that humans have been fighting since the dawn of time. He's an emperor of rebellion, and this is what makes his character so great. As he continues down this path of rebellion, however, Canute ends up falling deeper and deeper into this darkness, and he begins to make use of cheap tactics to take the lives of his competitors, including his brother, who, by the way, he still had a great relationship with. As King Sweyn explains, this is the curse of the crown, and the more Canute seeks with his title as king, the more he will kill to get what he wants. This descent into tyranny clearly resembles the character of Macbeth from Shakespeare's famous play, and is very well implemented in the character of Canute in the similar ways that both of these kings fall into darkness. We're going to see more and more of this from Canute's character as the story progresses. At least I hope, because I hope that Vinland Saga does not end anytime soon, because while Thorfinn's side of the story might be kinda over, Canute's is nowhere near over. In fact, one could say that his fight is just beginning. Undoubtedly, Canute is one of the greatest characters in Vinland Saga, and his conclusion as the antagonist will either elevate him to the top of the top or drop him, and I definitely expect the former to happen based on what I've read in Vinland Saga so far. Let me know your thoughts on Canute as a character and the video as a video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.